Pitch black, the sound of shuffling feet on damp earth, breathing, hundreds of breaths held tight. A torch flares. The flame illuminates faces, wide eyes, trembling mouths. You are inside the telesterion, the initiation hall at Eleusis, 14 miles from Athens. The year is 415 BC. The air tastes like incense and terror. A priestess moves through the darkness. Her voice is barely a whisper, but it carries. She offers a clay cup. Inside, the kikion, barley water mixed with pennyroyal. The initiates drink. Their hands shake. What happens next? They can never speak. Not to their wives, not to their children, not even to the gods outside this hall. The penalty for revealing the mysteries is death. No trial, no appeal, just death. The priestess leans close. Her words are a promise and a warning. The silence holds the sacred fire. The torches go out. Now listen to this. 3 months later, in a villa across Athens, laughter shatters the night. Sharp, cruel, drunk. Young aristocrats stumble through a parody of the sacred rites. They wear the wrong robes. They speak the forbidden words. They hold up clay cups and cackle, mimicking the priestess's whisper. The room reeks of spilled wine and expensive oil. This is not a prank. This is not youthful irreverence. This is a calculated assassination of Athens' soul, timed to the very eve of the city's most ambitious military campaign. They are not mocking the gods. They are attacking the city itself. Here on Cinders and Codices, we dig into the stories that official history tried to bury, the moments when the sacred became a weapon, when faith turned to ash in the hands of the powerful. What you're about to hear isn't just ancient scandal. It's the blueprint for how societies destroy themselves from within. Watch what happens next. 3 figures emerge from the historical record like ghosts stepping into torchlight. First, Alcibiades, Athens' golden son, brilliant strategist, devastating beauty, champion athlete, a man who has never known failure and believes rules exist only for lesser mortals. He is 26 years old and commands half the Athenian fleet. His face appears on coins. His name opens every door. He wears entitlement like armor. Second, Theano, high priestess of the mysteries. Her lineage stretches back centuries. The Eumolpidae clan has guarded the secrets of Eleusis since before Athens was Athens. Duty is etched into her bones. She is the living embodiment of the city's covenant with the divine. Third, Andocides, a nervous face in the crowd of revelers, one of the young aristocrats who laughed too loud at the wrong party. Now he is caught in the machinery of justice, and the only way out is to name names, to turn informant, to trade other men's lives for his own skin. 3 lives, 1 scandal, a city about to tear itself apart. The historical sources are fragmentary but damning. Thucydides records the events in Book 6 of his History of the Peloponnesian War. Plutarch gives us the personal details in his life of Alcibiades. Andocides himself leaves a self-serving account in his speech on the mysteries, written years later to clear his own name. And in the ruins of Eleusis, the stones remember. The Ninian tablet, dated to around 370 BC, sits in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. It depicts the ritual procession, torches, sacred objects, the moment before revelation. The Telesterion's foundations are still visible today. You can stand where the initiates stood, You can feel the weight of what they protected. For 1,000 years, they came to Eleusis. Farmers, soldiers, statesmen, slaves who saved for years to afford the initiation fee. They came to learn the secret of a blessed afterlife, to overcome the fear of death. The myth at the heart of the mysteries is older than Athens itself. Demeter, goddess of the harvest, loses her daughter Persephone to the underworld. The earth dies. Nothing grows. Demeter's grief is winter made manifest. But Persephone returns, not fully, not forever, but enough. 6 months in the world of the living, the promise of rebirth, the cycle that cannot break. To be initiated at Eleusis was to receive that promise personally. You would die, yes, but death was not the end. The fear could be conquered. The Homeric hymn to Demeter, composed centuries before this story, calls the initiates blessed, blessed among mortals, because they have seen what lies beyond. To reveal the secrets was to cheapen that promise, to steal hope from thousands, to commit a crime not against law but against the fabric of existence itself. It was the ultimate taboo, and in 415 BC someone broke it for a laugh. The Athenian fleet cuts through the wine-dark sea bound for Sicily. Aboard his flagship, Alcibiades plans the invasion, the greatest military expedition Athens has ever launched. 200 ships, 30,000 men, enough force to conquer the Western Mediterranean and turn Athens into an empire that will never fall. He is young, he is brilliant, he is unstoppable. A sail appears on the horizon, the state ship, the Salaminia. It carries not reinforcements, but a warrant for his arrest. The charge: impiety, profanation of the Eleusinian mysteries. Back in Athens, the city is in a panic. Informants are coming forward. Names are being scratched onto wax tablets. Andocides, desperate to save himself, has started talking. He names Alcibiades. He names dozens of others. The list grows longer every day. Alcibiades stands on the deck of his flagship and stares at the Salaminia. He has a choice: return to Athens for a show trial and certain execution. The first domino falls. He does not return to Athens. Back in the city, the machinery of fear grinds into motion. This is not the violence of swords and spears. This is the elegant cruelty of bureaucracy. Styluses scratching names onto wax tablets. Properties confiscated and listed on marble stelae for public auction. The state transforms terror into revenue. The Attic property confiscation records from 414 BC still survive. You can read them. Line after line of estates, furniture, slaves, sold to the highest bidder. The accused don't even get trials before their lives are dismantled and monetized. Informants are paid in silver. Arrests happen at night. Families wake to find their doors broken, their men gone. In the middle of this witch hunt, the state summons Theano. They want her to curse the accused, to use the sacred words of the mysteries as a weapon, to turn the divine power she guards into a tool of political vengeance. She refuses. Her voice is clear as a bell, recorded by Plutarch centuries later. I am a priestess of prayers, not of curses. The officials press her. They threaten, they cajole, they explain that this is a matter of state security, that the very survival of Athens depends on her compliance. She does not move. The silence holds the sacred fire. This is the moment the title promises. Not a physical death, but the death of her public compliance. She would rather die than let them profane the mysteries a second time, not through mockery, but through weaponization. The ledgers grow longer, the names multiply, the city tears itself apart, hunting for traitors in every shadow. Stories like this are why Cinders and Codices exists, to remember the moments when the powerful tried to turn faith into a tool of control and someone said, no. Follow Alcibiades now. Trace his path across the Aegean. He does not return to Athens. He flees to Thurii, a Greek colony in southern Italy. But Athens' reach is long. He moves again to the Peloponnese, to Sparta, the ultimate betrayal. The Spartans are Athens' mortal enemies. They have been at war for 16 years, and now Alcibiades, Athens' golden son, offers them his genius. He advises them how to defeat his homeland. He tells them where to strike, when to move, which alliances to break. He becomes a weapon aimed at Athens' throat. Thucydides records his speech to the Spartan assembly. Cold, brilliant, devastating. Alcibiades argues that patriotism to a city that has condemned him unjustly is no virtue. He redefines loyalty on his own terms. The Spartans listen. They act on his advice. And the Sicilian expedition, Athens' great gamble for empire, collapses into catastrophe. 40,000 men march into the interior of Sicily. They are trapped, surrounded. The sources describe the final battle in horrific detail. Athenian soldiers dying of thirst, drowning in a river while trying to drink, cut down by Syracusan spears. The survivors are sold into slavery or left to die in stone quarries. The fleet is destroyed. Athens loses a generation of its citizens in a single campaign, all because a young aristocrat thought the rules didn't apply to him, all because the city tore itself apart hunting for traitors instead of focusing on the war. The journey from Athens to Sparta is not long in miles, but it is a descent measured in betrayals, each one deeper than the last. While Alcibiades burns his own legacy, Theano builds one from silence. Her refusal to speak the curse is recorded in multiple sources. Plutarch treats it as a moral exemplum. Later writers cite her as proof that true piety cannot be compelled. But look closer at what she is actually protecting. The mysteries at Eleusis are not just ritual. They are Athens' oldest covenant. Older than democracy. Older than the Parthenon. They are the promise that binds citizen to citizen, mortal to divine, generation to generation. To use the sacred words as a political weapon, even against genuine criminals, would be a second profanation, worse than the first. It would prove that the politicians were right, that the mysteries are just another tool of state power. Theano understands this. The real secret she dies to protect is not a password or a vision. It is the integrity of her office, the inviolability of the sacred boundary between religion and politics. The viral claim, priestess died rather than reveal 2,000-year secret, points to this moment. Not a literal death, but the death of her compliance. She would rather face the consequences than let the state turn prayer into curse. The decree of the Eumolpidae, an inscription found at Eleusis, outlines the duties of the priestly clan. Nowhere does it give them the power to curse on command. Nowhere does it make them servants of political expedience. Theano knows her duty, and she holds the line. Athens loses the war. The The Peloponnesian War drags on for another 9 years after the Sicilian disaster, but the city's golden age is over. The wound bleeds out slowly, measured in lost battles, broken alliances, fractured morale. In 404 BC, Sparta's fleet blockades the Piraeus. Athens surrenders. The long walls are torn down. The empire collapses. Alcibiades' story ends far from home. In 404 BC, assassins corner him in a villa in Phrygia. Persian agents, maybe. Spartan operatives, possibly. The sources disagree, but the result is the same. He dies in a foreign land, burned out of a borrowed house. His brilliance turned to ash, but the mysteries at Eleusis, they endure. For another 700 years, initiates come to drink the Kykeon and receive the promise. Through the fall of Athens, through the rise of Rome, through centuries of conquest and change, the last recorded celebration of the mysteries happens in the late 4th century AD. By then, Christianity is the official religion of the Roman Empire. Pagan temples are being closed, but Eleusis holds on. The historian Eunapius, writing around 400 AD, describes the final destruction of the sanctuary. Gothic raiders sack it. The telesterion burns. The sacred objects are scattered or destroyed. But for 7 centuries after Alcibiades' betrayal, after the fall of democratic Athens, after the collapse of everything he thought was eternal, the mysteries survive. Theano's silent defiance outlasts the entire Athenian empire. Because what is sacred, what is truly held in the heart, cannot be erased by politics or war. The late Roman coins depicting Demeter, minted centuries after Athens' fall, prove this. The goddess endures. The promise endures. The silence holds the sacred fire, not because it hides information, but because it protects integrity. Because some things cannot be weaponized without being destroyed. Because there are boundaries even the powerful cannot cross. Today, you can visit the ruins of Eleusis. The telesterion is gone, reduced to foundations and scattered column drums, but the site remains. The greater propylaea, the ceremonial entrance, still stands, a doorway to a mystery we can no longer enter. The Ninian tablet sits in its museum case in Athens. The funerary stelae of priestesses line the walls of the Eleusis Archaeological Museum. The votive reliefs show Demeter, Persephone, Triptolemus, the sacred triad of the mysteries. The objects remain, the silence remains, and we remember. We remember that in 415 BC, powerful men tried to turn faith into a weapon. They mocked what others held sacred. They profaned the covenant that held their society together, and it destroyed them. Athens never recovered from the Sicilian expedition. Alcibiades never came home. The empire crumbled, but Theano's refusal, her priestesses' vow to guard the boundary between sacred and profane, outlasted all of them. The silence that holds the sacred fire is not passivity, it is defiance. It is the knowledge that some things are worth protecting, even at the cost of everything else. That fire still burns in these stories, in the archives, in the ruins, in the choice to remember what power wants us to forget. Subscribe to Cinders and Codices to help us preserve the stories history tried to bury. The silence holds the sacred fire, and we refuse